Hello folks, and welcome back to SR20TV. So not only do we have this super clean SR20, we have all these parts that are super clean as well. I spent hours and hours scrubbing these by hand, getting ready to put this engine together. So we also got the heater coil lines. I'll talk about this a little bit when we go to put it on the engine, but for now, like I said, we got all these brand new parts. We're gonna come over here to the engine. We're gonna work our way from the bottom up. We're gonna do the upper and lower oil pan. I highly advise that you don't flip these engines over if the cylinder head is on or if you've already bled your lifters. If you do, you might get lucky, you might not, but I don't. So we're gonna work from the bottom, pull the upper, lower oil pan off, replace the oil pump while we're there. Next, we got to pull off these windage tray bolts, and then we can access the pickup tube. Now for the pickup tube, there's two 12mm bolts up here in the front and one mounting bolt right there in the middle of those three bolts there. I didn't film pulling the pickup off because I knew it was going to be 7 minutes of me just dropping the wrench in the drain pan underneath me, but as you can see, that's where the pickup brace came from. Best bet is to take these two bolts out first, and then you can kind of swing the pickup over a little bit and get to that bolt a little bit easier because that thing's a real pain. And two bolts that you cannot forget is these on the back side. Those have to come off to get the lower oil pan off. All right, I know the view probably sucks down here, but to continue removing the upper oil pan, there's 4 bolts inside the cover. There's one right there, 2, 3, and 4 right there. Those 4, the 2 nuts in the back, and then all the rest on the outside. As for the upper oil pan, as you can see all these grooves right here, you see, look how old this silicone is. It's all cracked and dry rotted. Anyways, we got to pick all that out. I'm gonna do that off camera, but we got to pick all that old sealant out of there, clean this up, and get it ready to resurface. But for now, let's get to the front cover and oil pump. Now to get that front cover off, we've got to pull the valve cover because there's 2 bolts right here that screw in from the top, and they hold into the front cover. There's 2 bolts, 1, 2 millimeters. So there's 1 bolt right here. I've already gotten the other one. There's 1 bolt right here underneath this cam gear that you really can't get to unless you pull the cam gear off. But we don't want to pull the cam gear off. So what I'm going to do is knock this freeze plug out. And then hit my wrench and go right through this hole. And then this one will just kind of stay in there. You'll just have to lift it up a little bit when you go to pull the front cover off. All right, so when you're prying this cover off, you just want to be careful. There's 1 spot right here at the corner, and 1 spot right here in between the pump and the housing that you can get in there and not pry inside of the housing, you're just prying up against the outside of the oil pump housing and not on the mating surfaces here.
Working back and forth.
I'm gonna come right off.
All right, let's talk about this water pipe. So what I've done here, I'll insert some pictures of what it looked like before, but from factory it came off of here and did a 90 behind the cylinder head. That's for a right-hand drive heater core. Well, this is going in a left-hand drive car, so what I did, chopped it off right here, and then I put a little barb on it here so the hose, I can grab a hose on it. So these two are gonna go to my heater core bottom port on the heater core. This will go to the upper port on the heater core. These two lines right here, these are gonna go to your idle air control valve on the intake manifold itself. This is a 3/4 inch hose, and it goes to the barb coming off of the thermostat housing, the back of the thermostat housing here. This 5/16 port, that goes to the throttle body. And then This one also goes to the throttle body. These two ports here, this one and this one. Then this is a 1-inch piece of hose that goes to the sensor housing. This piece unbolts here, this is the sensor housing. And then this, what I've done is I bought this hose, that's the part number for the hose, and it is a 180 hose, and I just cut it off to get that curve there. This is like a Honda Civic bypass hose. What you can also do if you want to bypass your heater core and not run a heater core, you buy 2 of these hoses and then just put one on this side also, and then to loop the hoses if you want to bypass the heater core. But we're not bypassing the heater core on this side. So let's put this on here. I've already pre-cut everything, so everything should be the perfect size. And then we got
2 12mm bolts and holes with water
All right, so I'm gonna pause it here and then or just take a picture, and then I'll write on the screen where everything goes. I kind of just put this on here just for video purpose. That's the part number you need. And then yeah, I'll tighten all these down. Like I said, I'll put a thing on the screen. Now, before you put your intake manifold on, make sure you've got all your hoses tight. We also put, these 2 are going to our throttle body. This one comes off here, this one from here. Leave those a little long so we can get to them. Our lower intake manifold, I've pre-assembled this also. As you can see, I've got 2 90-degree hoses here. I'll put the part number over this video. And then we've got the idle air control valve hose, and I left that long too. What I'm gonna do, as you can see, those 2 will line up perfect once it's on. What I'm going to do with the idle air control valve hose, normally from the factory, as it sits here, this is normally about a couple-inch piece of hose, and then it goes to a hard pipe, and then the hard pipe bolts on right here, and the rest is soft. So this is normally a hard pipe piece, but I don't have that factory piece, so we're going to do it this way. And this will eliminate one other connection in the middle of the intake manifold that you can't get to. And then I'm also going to take some of this DEI sleeve. I don't have the right size yet. I'm waiting on it to come in. But once we get that, I'm going to sleeve this pipe with that so there's no chafing inside the intake manifold. Let's put the intake manifold on. So I never used to do this years ago, but SRs are like super prone to leaking at the intake manifold. So this is like a really light skim coat of RTV. It just makes me feel better that when I put the car back together, I'm not gonna have to pull off the intake manifold because it's leaking. Something you might wanna do too. Just about every SR I get, it's either the threads are just about stripped out in the cylinder head here because they tightened it too much, or it's got RTV on it already. And if it's got RTV on it already, safe bet that you should probably put RTV back on it. I don't like putting RTV on intake gaskets, but I mean, Ks and a lot of times SRs, you have that problem. No RTV on the throttle body though, we got a gasket. Okay, so the only thing left for intake manifold are these two ports here. And from factory, there's you put a little soft hose, and then there's a hard pipe that connects the two, and then it goes into the valve cover. I'm waiting on a couple parts to finish putting the rest of it together, like to put the fuel rail on and to put the turbo on, but that pretty much wraps up refreshing it for the most part. All the hoses are done, all the accessories are on, intake manifold's on. I left this throttle body, this was already painted black, I just left it black. I might change it, but I feel like it kind of matches like the black accessories up in the front. Like I said, I'm waiting on this heat sleeve, but this thing came out pretty good, I must say. But until next week, I don't know what next week's video is going to be, but I'll see you then.